Alrighty guys, welcome back to another very special episode of Grim Reaper RC. On the bench you guys can see we have the two Pro Motos. These things look absolutely insane. In the last video we went over the Super Moto here, so that will be sitting in the background over there. Today's video we're going to be going over the dirt bike version that I have here, and I think this thing looks absolutely insane. We don't have that many upgrades on here, so we're going to be talking about the upgrades that I did put on this thing, so make sure you guys stay tuned. This is going to be an absolutely insane video. You're not going to want to miss it. Grab your RC, do some wrenching, do some cleaning, do whatever you got to do while we watch some Grim Reaper RC and have some fun with RC cars, because that is what this hobby is all about. So, as you guys can see, this thing looks absolutely insane. We're going to jump right into it, because I don't want to bore you guys. This thing is absolutely awesome. I love these Pro Motos. I was very hesitant about getting these. I did not think I was going to enjoy them, but let me tell you, I enjoyed them so much I do have two of them now. You guys can see that we have the brakes adjusted perfectly. That wheel was spinning for the whole 50 seconds I was talking, so you definitely want to stay tuned for what I have in store for you guys today. It's going to be absolutely insane. Let's jump right into the video. Starting off with this amazing graphics kit. You guys can see the true details, zooming it in right here. Absolutely amazing. I love the way this looks. We have the wave theme on here, the little beach theme going on. I have two of the same exact style riders with the same jerseys and everything for continuity. I think it looks absolutely insane. This one has not been used yet. It's actually not nice enough in my province to go out in RC, so it is something I'm gonna have to wait until it gets a little bit more nice out. Because if you guys do not know, then there's a stator inside of here. The stator is actually in and around this area right here. Now, if you take off these side panels, you'd be able to see them. There's a whole stator motor and a flywheel assembly. Now, this flywheel assembly actually makes it so that this stability, it's kind of like a gyro for these cars, which is absolutely awesome. It definitely keeps them standing upright and perfect, so it does help out. The two different gyros, but it's all right. They're okay. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they're all right. There's a huge flaw with the main stator, and that is, it's not waterproof. These stators aren't waterproof, so if you drive through any type of water, mud, or anything like that, even just a little bit of water on the street, you could run into the risk of destroying the stator. So I have not used this one yet. Still has the brand new tag on it, so that is something I'm going to have to get going very shortly. I love these vehicles. I think they look so cool. This graphics kit looks absolutely insane. I'm a huge fan of it. Ties into it everywhere. It goes on the front handlebar and everything. I just think that the whole entire bike looks absolutely awesome, and I love the way it looks. Over here, we have the upgraded bike. This thing is upgraded to the max, basically, for reasonable accessories. We have the carbon fiber on here. We have all of the custom little stickers, but the things that actually matter now are for a street vehicle. If you want this thing on the street, the key thing is you're going to want a shark fin style chain guard here compared to the much larger chain guard on this one here, which is not the shark fin style. So the shark fin makes it so that you guys can actually have it so that you're side wheeling pretty good. I'm going to get all of the stands off here. I'm going to take this off the stand real quick. I'm going to get this sideways. I knocked over the little building here, but it's completely fine. I'm just going to reset it up, and I'm going to adjust you guys so that you can see right there that we're actually not touching the ground. Now, on this bike, I'm pretty sure if I zoom you guys back out, we'll just move this to the side fairly quickly, and we'll take it off its stand. I'm going to push the stand over to the side a little bit. We're going to go on the rider's side here, and we're going to go all the way over, and we're going to zoom you guys in. As you guys can see, from the bend on here, it's actually touching, but if we go to the Supermoto, it is not touching. So I did put the enlarged peg stands on here so that it does have a very little bit less of drag on the ground, and it has a shorter distance. I believe I have a 1 millimeter gap here and a 2 millimeter gap in the rear, which is absolutely perfect. Now, even if the rider does push down a little bit more, you guys can see that my foot will not be touching the ground and my chain guard will not be touching, which is very good as well. That means we're going to have no scraping or anything like that. I have had a few issues on the boot right here where it does get a little bit scraped up. Now that is not too big of an issue, but it is definitely something you want to keep in mind. Now, one of the main key parts that breaks on these vehicles is the little, it's this little suspension component on the bottom here, and it's actually plastic. This one has not been used. It's brand new. It's still completely stock, so that you guys can see, other than the stickers, obviously. The little shock piece right here is completely plastic, so that is something that, you know, you gotta keep in mind. If you're gonna be jumping it and driving it harsh off, you're driving it harsh as in you're gonna be doing jumps, taking it off of curbs and things like that, you're gonna want it to be metal. Same thing with the trailing arm. This is a metal trailing arm here compared to the little plastic one over here. The plastic one is actually not too bad, but it is something that's going to be bent, destroyed, or broken if you do jump this thing, just like all of these little plastic pieces here. So getting them upgraded is definitely something you're going to want to do if you're going to be driving this thing very harsh. Now, if you guys can see, which it may be a little bit difficult, we do have some upgraded 7075 aluminum components on the shock in comparison to just the black plastic one that's on this one right here. So I don't mind that the sand one is going to be a little bit more set up to be forgiving with plastic components, because if it does smack into sand, it's already going to be a little bit soft. If it smacks into grass, it's going to be soft. But I have this one set up on the street, so if it does hit something hard, nothing is really going to break. If I do hit something concrete, it will not be too bad. Same reason why we have the upgraded hub assemblies on here. It's just the same idea of thinking. If I jump this off a curb and I land on the rear tire, I would like the hub to be aluminum, where the sand is going to be a little bit more forgiving, and there is a little bit more foam, and the wheels are much larger on the dirt bike, so it will be a little bit more forgiving, so it's okay for it being plastic. So there is two different styles of how you do want to build these, and I do actually have elbow pads on here, and these elbow pads were cut from glove knuckles and then just twisted, and I put a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of them so that they don't go anywhere. I love the way that these riders look. I think they look super cool. I'm so excited to get this dirt bike out there, so make sure you guys stay tuned. I'm going to have the dirt bike going pretty soon. We have the Supermoto one going when the street is dry, though. I have already needed to adjust the chain sprocket once. I did have to put the point... I think I actually used the 0. I have the 0 on here right now. It does come stock with the 0.25 forward. And if you guys can see right here, it's a little bit too loose for my liking. It's touching on both ends. And that's with the suspension all the way maxed out. So if we do get a little bit more shock compression going on in the back here, it's going to be touching super easy. So that is something I'm going to be upgrading as well. I'm going to be putting the 0 on this one so that we don't have premature chain wear. It's something I really don't want. And you guys can see just on my finger right there, there is a little bit of oil on it. You do want to make sure that you keep these chains oiled with some dry chain lube, or they're not going to drive good. You're going to prematurely wear all of the components because you have your sprockets and your gears that really need to have the dry lube on them. And then your internal gears themselves, like your pinion and spur and your differential, which is only one, will be prematurely worn out if you have bad chain slop as well. So that is definitely something you want to keep in mind. I've actually never used these little stands before, so hopefully I'll be able to get it going with the dirt bike and maybe some races. But I absolutely love the way that this looks. I think it's super cool. Love the way these riders are. Make sure you guys drop a comment down below. Which one is your favorite? Do you like the white or the yellow one? I like both. That's why I have both of them. So make sure you guys drop a comment down below which one you like more. Alright, so now that we went over the little bit of upgrades on here, I'm going to get into the key features that I've noticed that are kind of a problem. Not really a problem, but more so definitely something that could cause further damage down the line. Now, in and about this area right here is the stator. Now, the stator is what keeps this thing balanced. You have to turn it on the remote before you drive this thing. Winds up, it sounds like an RC plane starting up. It's super, super cool, and it stabilizes the vehicle. There's 2 gyros on this thing here, which is kind of cool. It is also kind of finicky. Now, the thing is these stators aren't waterproof, so you can't drive these things in the rain. So you can't drive them in the rain, you can't drive them in the mud, you can't get them wet, you can't drive them in any sort of muddy situation. You probably can't even spray the internals with any simple green to clean them if they do get dusty or dirty or anything like that. You just have to use an air compressor. So that is finicky. Hopefully by the 2.0 version, if they do a 2.0 version, hopefully they do like the Super Baja Ray, then they'll come out with a model where it is waterproof. That would definitely be a key buying feature for a lot of people, and I think it's actually kept people from buying this model here, especially the issues with the stator. These things aren't that cheap. They're about $76 for the flywheel and for the stator itself. So it is kind of finicky in and about. Now, here's another thing too. You have to take off 1, 2, 3, 4 behind his legs, and I believe you have to take off 5 screws to get this side plate off. Now you have to do that about every 2 times you drive, or the inside of here where the little sprocket is that drives your chain assembly. It's just going to be absolute dirt packed grease. You guys can actually see I touched the sprocket there and it is already packed up with grease. And I actually cleaned this thing the last time I drove it, and I'm filming after it is cleaned. So as you guys can see, it's probably going to be an issue further down the line once grease gets thrown everywhere. If that gets inside of the stator, it's game over. Now, people also do have issues with the bearings on the inside of the stators. They are very finicky, key things on these vehicles. Now, we're going to talk about something over here that we're going to have to face down for. Here is the S3 compound tire. This is the Supermoto tire, as we've talked about in this video. You guys can also see some more of the area where this sprocket piece was actually slapping over here. So I do have to paint that black. I just like all my cars looking good. So we're going to zoom in a little bit further. You guys can see this is the gnarring I was talking about. So these Supermoto tires are so soft and the ground is so hard that it just eats them alive, rips them apart on the little edge pieces, and you have kind of an uneven wear pattern here. As you guys can see, it looks like the bike was almost tilted on its side over here like this. Maybe when it was doing a wheelie or something like that, we had some tire spin right here, or I could have locked up the rear brake and it skid. But something chipped up the wheel right here, so that is something that's gonna have to you're gonna have to pay attention to. Here is that line that I was talking about on the sides of where the bike is leaning to. This is the max point of traction I have. So as you guys can see, it's a very, very, very thin line of traction that these vehicles do get. So hopefully when it gets a little bit more worn down, we're widening this path because this tire is super wide, and I would like to get a little bit more of the tire gripping on the ground to have more traction. Same thing in the front. We have a very, very, very thin tread line going on here. This is the split between the two seams of the car itself, but you can see right here where my finger is and about right here where these marks are. This is the only line that I'm getting touching the ground. So as you guys can see that these little fairing pieces aren't even touching the road unless I'm on the full side of the bike, then it's maybe hitting a grooved piece of the pavement. So that is something I would like to hopefully get them worn down just a little bit, not too quickly. I hope they wear down, you know, after a long rip. After a long rip, they wear down. That would be super nice, just to get a wider tread patch on the road. I think would get some more grip. I haven't even used this stand before, so if you guys have used this, make sure you drop it in the comments down below. I did switch it over. I will put a number on here. I'll put the number 6 because this one is number 6, and I do have another dirt bike which is number 71, so we will be getting into that video very shortly. So with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I hope you learned something new, took a piece of advice from this video. I hope you guys fixed your RCs, cleaned your RCs, did whatever you guys had to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the post notification button. That way you guys get notified whenever I upload a really cool or informational video just like this one. And I will see you all in the very next episode of Grim Reaper RC.